opinions expressed by callers, guests, and hosts do not necessarily reflect those of the Black Talk Radio Network and Black Talk Media Project. Black Talk Radio is new black media for the new millennium.
Host of Race Treaty, co-host that is. We have a team that we identify ourselves as the Race Treaty Collective. These are brothers and sisters around the United States of America and really around the globe through connections. They don't know it yet, but they're going to be on this call too. And tonight we're going to do something a little different, not necessarily a departure from what we talk about, but we're going to talk about it in a more personal way. Personal in terms of the internal conversation that black people of conscience are talking about. This is this question of healing. Some of you may know about the National Association of Black Social Workers, and some of you may not know. It, in fact, in its mentioning, could be the first time that the conversation is going to build and crescendo towards 50 years since 1968. Why is that important? 1968 was a watershed year for all the things that took place, and there were many. And certainly we remember Carlos throwing up the Black Power sign, and another brother whose name I shamefully forget from time to time. So that was the icon of the 60s in New Mexico, in the Olympics, when they said, Black Power. So it was in that same year that the National Association of Black Social Workers came into existence. Same year that it came into existence when black social workers attending the National Conference of Social Workers, whatever the formal name was at that time, in California, and not being heard and not being paid attention to or considered, said these people are not even dealing with us, so why are we here? So they did, as many black people have done, to form their own organizations, walked out and formed the National Association of Black Social Workers. Well, that was in 1968, which means that in 2017, it marked the 49th anniversary of its founding. And in Washington, D.C., they had their 49th annual convention, Unmasking Politics and Policies, Strengthening the Black Family. And it was an event to be in attendance for, because you had people with a life experience, study, pursuit, unraveling the problems, and more so importantly, discussing the solutions. And because you had multi-generation of participants, people were pursuing their bachelor's degrees, some the masters, some the doctorates, and some in retirement, and even having the founders, a few of the founders of the organization in attendance, plus the other group, which is called the Pioneers. So tonight, being on the call, being party to the show tonight, you will listen to some of the internal dialogue between the members, and we will feature Brother Mawuli Davis, a lawyer around about a half hour into the program, we'll feature his talk to the General Assembly as the keynote speaker. So you are in for a treat, and we'll be following up as we lead now to 50 years from 1968, and therefore celebrating the 50th year of the National Association of Black Social Workers. So this is the first step in that direction. And we'll talk, not in this program, later, more programs, the critical role that black social workers have played and must play, particularly in terms of reparations. And, of course, I'm talking about the rehabilitation aspects in addition to the compensation and restitution. But the rehabilitation part is the healing part that we all must partake in. So without further ado, you will now be listening to some of the pre-remarks leading up to the keynote speaker, as well as some of the people who were actually given awards. Enjoy. Onaji Mawid, and we'll talk to you soon.
Here's a toss. Grant us, O God, a lifelong affinity for truth and justice. We present our learning from these years to you. We offer to you a bouquet of what we have known and the ways we have grown. In tasks partly completed, challenges met, losses unexpected and unforeseen. In the awe-inspiring brilliance of creative energy. O Lord, our God of diaspora, we offer back to you our social work experiences, our life experiences, and to seek blessings for what is yet to be. Here we have sought and found answers. So we began to live into new questions, questions of the utmost priority. We have created deep and abiding friendships as we care for those who find themselves living in the margins. So we might reach out to welcome the stranger and embrace the other. Oh God, we have learned systems of politics and of justice, so that we may never be shackled and troubled again. We offer back to you our beloved community and all who faithfully served her, that we may be all that you would have us to be and called us to become. We join the brigade of celebrated servant leaders. For all that has been, we offer thanks. For all that will be, we say yes, oh God. Yes, yes, yes. Amen.
How's that, family? How's everybody feeling today? Y'all should say lovely, because y'all are up here and y'all are in one of the most prestigious places you'll ever be. And that is with all of these wonderful professionals. My name is Patrick Crawford, and I am the local chapter president for the Association of Black Social Workers DC Metro Chapter. And I would like to bring greetings and welcome you all. I hope that you have enjoyed this conference thus far. Our conference committee staff has put together and done extreme work to provide you with services. And if there's anything that we can do while you are here, please do not hesitate to call. But please call my cell phone. Don't call my room, because I will not answer. But we want you guys to come in, enjoy yourself. If you have not had a chance to explore DC, please get an opportunity after the workshops to do so. And I want to make sure that you guys are enjoying yourself, and you guys recognize that it's been 25 years, so we appreciate bringing it back. We look forward to coming sooner than 25 from now, but we also look forward to what is to come. Thank you from the Association of Black Social Workers DC Metro Chapter, and welcome.
Let us welcome our National President, J. Tony Oliver. Greetings, family. It's good to be home. I've missed you. It is truly good to be home. I am truly honored to have this opportunity to pay tribute to our founding president of this great organization. And before I give the tribute, I want to share a few words. But let me just say to those, and I know there's always some first timers. How many is here for the first time? Raise your hand. Wow. And how many are from Savannah State University? Stand up, Tigers. I got to give a shout out. We have a new chapter at Savannah State University. Liberia already, so we're doing the work. We're doing the work. Thank you, Dr. Deloach and Dr. Tuggle, for making sure our students are here. Let me say to those who are here for the first time and to our students, I came as a student in 1980. I came to Washington, D.C. We were on Howard University's campus. I was a student at Atlanta University at the time. Are there some brothers and sisters from Atlanta University? Talk Atlanta. All right, we're in the house. But I came because the professor, Dr. Mamie Darlington, brought us. And we didn't have enough room for the hotel, and she had a brother in town, and we slept on a couch, a pull-out couch, on the floor, and everywhere in her brother's house. But coming to this conference changed my life. Changed my life. And every president of this organization I've had a chance to work with and become friends and close to them and their families. And even our presidents who are no longer with us, their spirit is in this place. So while this is a tribute to Senior Jomo Williams, for me it is a tribute to each of our presidents who have gone on to become ancestors. There comes a time in life of every group of oppressed people when they find themselves at a crossroad. On the one side, the path of self-destruction, suicide, annihilation, and on the other side, the path of progress, self-help, and nation-building. We, like our forefathers, must choose the later path, but with more of a sense of direction of the route we will travel, and with a unity of purpose. At every hand, we see government, through its national policies, trying to force us to travel the former path. It has created a repressive atmosphere rather than a progressive one. Observe the widespread shortage of housing in this country, compounded with a national housing freeze. Observe the heavy flow of drugs in the Black community. Observe the high rate of unemployment in the Black community. Observe the welfare cuts in the various states. Observe the lavish and blatant termination of social service programs. Yes, brothers and sisters, it is within the content of this national repressive trend that we find ourselves having to deal with this week. The theme nation building is quite appropriate for this conference because it reflects a new level of consciousness on behalf of Black social workers. But before I begin to talk about nation building in relation to social workers and their role in society, I would like to take a minute or two to give an analysis of nation building because the term itself can be divisive. These are the words of Senior Jomo Williams on April 19, 1973, his president's opening statement at the 5th annual conference. Leonard, Bill, you remember those words. I know you were there. A number of you were there. Shirley, you were there. When that green-eyed little giant of a little man, little before Rudy came aboard, could tell you and point his finger, go here, do this, I need you up here, because he knew how to get it done. Every word that I read, some of you thought I was talking about today, weren't you? Because it is sad that it is still fitting. But it is still our responsibility as a tribute to Sidney Jomo Williams that we continue to do nation building. And he went on to talk about the divisive nation because we sometimes got caught up in who belongs in the family and who don't belong in the family. And we got caught up with who has what and who doesn't have what. But there is still a need for us as Black social workers to be committed to the cause. Because Sidney Jomo Williams lived by, I am because we are, and because we are, therefore I am. We are a collective, and we don't have a choice but to do what is necessary. And he also lived by the quote of Dr. King, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And Sidney Jomo Williams worked endlessly, day and night, to end injustices. So I arrived in New York after I graduated in May of 1980 from Atlanta University. And I was told at that conference, when you get there, go to the New York, where's the New York City chapter? I was told, go to the New York City chapter office because they'll help you find a job. And I showed up there the summer of 1980. And I went to the office and I said, I was told you have a job bank. I went to the NABSW conference at Howard down there. And they said, oh, good. Just go on back there in the room and somebody will show you the job bank book. And I walked in that back room and there was Sidney and a host of the other brothers and sisters, and they were stuffing envelopes. And I said, well, I came to find out information about a job. And Sidney said, get one of those folders over there, fold it in 3, and stuff it in the envelope and lick the stamp and put it on there. We got to stop them from closing Sign in Hand Hospital. We got work to do. I never found out if there was a job bank folder or not. I was put to work, and then I was told that the New York City chapter was having their conference, and I needed to make sure that I got on a committee. And I had to get on a committee. That's where I met Selma. That's where I met Selma. That's where I met Simmer. I met my group. And that's when I was living in Yonkers. And I said, well, where's the Westchester chapter after going to the New York City's 1980 conference? And from there, I met Leonard and others. And we formed the Westchester chapter, and Sidney Jomo Williams was our first speaker. Sidney has had an impact everywhere that he walked. But let his words that I share with you today remind you of who we are, of who we belong to, and what our work has to be. There's no time for us to stop. There's no time for us to think that there's better days. There's no time for us to talk about who was there and who shouldn't be there. It's time for us to do the work of the people. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere, my brothers and sisters. Let's live the life that Sidney Jomo Williams would be so proud of as he continues to look upon us today. Ashe.
Thank you, Dr. Dozier. And the point of that information is that it's up to you what you do. I've been paid the same thing since I was 9 years old working for NABSW. And the better I get, they triple my pay, and the check is the same. It's a pleasure, and it's an honor to serve. And in light of that, I would like to introduce you and bring to the podium our ultimate servant leader, Sister J. Tony Oliver.
Hotel family.
Hotel.
It feels so good to be on this side of the room, to look at all of us and know that everyone in this room is a servant leader. And to know that service is at the core of everything that we do. And to know that this awesome organization stands on the shoulders of people for 49 years who have gotten the kind of pay that Melissa talked about. We volunteer, we donate, we do the work, It doesn't matter what the work is, but as long as it's committed to improving the quality of life for people of African ancestry, we're on it. We also recognize that we need to come here together as family every year to drink from the well, to be renewed, to be recognized and appreciated, to be valued, to commiserate those things that we know have happened to us in our communities. When we see things that happen to others, it happens to us because of collective work and responsibility, and because we take on the DNA and the feelings and the emotions and the sentiments of everything that happens to every person of African ancestry, regardless of what continent they live on. I feel wonderful because when we have had the opportunity to come here, we stand on the shoulders of so many. And I feel so good that we have begun to have the opportunity for everyone to understand why is the luncheon named the Sini Jomo Williams Luncheon. What can we remember and recall about that man who was our first executive director? What is it that enabled us in this organization to be led by the presidents that you see here in our presence and those who are our ancestors? I am humbled to stand on their shoulders. And for each one of our living presidents, I regard them as my personal advisors. And I thank you, as well as the founders, for everything that you've done for me personally, because I know that you've walked this road, that you care about this organization, and that you care about me. So for everything that we do for each other, for everything that we mean to each other, for all the work that we have to do together for each other, I am eternally grateful to you.
Lunch is served.
At the very first African opera for the Washington National Opera, and the music comes from that, but the words come from a woman that taught me to say, it is time for healing. We need to look back to whence we came from. Mother Africa is filled with the healing power. Look into the light of the sun and feel wonders.
Thank you. I have to first stop and thank the original teacher in my life, my mom, Janet McLean, who flew in to be with me today. She's the one, Mommy, this is for you. I remember you talking about going to Chicago's Teachers College, but not finishing, because you were just swept away by my fine day. And you started the family and said, thank you. I have to say thank you to my Uncle Ikim. My Uncle Ikim has been my conscience, my black conscience. He's the warrior prince in my life. He's the Black Panther that I adore. And I didn't know what that meant as a kid, but I always knew he was the strongest. He was the conscience. The black conscience was always telling me, that's not what black people do. Black people are kings and queens. Always teaching me that from a young age and shaping my consciousness. Thank you to you and for flying in from Chicago just to be here with me. Thank you. Thank you. I adore you. And to his queen, Auntie Loretta. To my sister Gail, just bear with me, family. I know I'm supposed to be brief, but I have to thank my family. My sister Gail, my big sister Gail, my big sister girl who was so smart and so beautiful. And I didn't want to live in her shadow. I just wanted to be like her. And she taught me to fight. She taught me to fight because we were always into it about something. But she was a smart one. She was the honorable one, and I remember telling my dad, why do I have to study so hard? Because I don't get it. And she just didn't even have to think about it. It came to her. He told me I was growing my muscle. I want to thank my beautiful cheerleaders, my daughters, Jasmine and Jessica. I love you dearly. And who is my favorite girl in all the wide world? Savannah. Thank you. Lastly, I just want to say it has been real difficult, and I know one of the biggest things I sat here and I said, how do I say Asante Sana to the people in this room when I'm sitting here with three parts of my life, of my family, my birth family, my NABSW family, 30 years. You raised me from a graduate student at School of Social Service Administration to currently. These people are here on my dissertation. They are acknowledging my dissertation. They are part of my dissertation. They are forever part of my life. And I carry their words, and I'll honoree her. You all's syllabus are in my syllabus. You all's works are in my works, and I thank you, and I carry your words with me also. And then also to my Morgan State University family, my current family. I finally found my home, and I thank you all so much just for the time, and I don't apologize for taking the time. What I know, and it came to me this morning as I called his name, James R. McClain, hey baby, your little girl. Me and my ancestors, we take up a lot of room, and we take up a lot of time, and I thank you for investing in me. I should.
So Dr. Sister Denise calls herself an emerging scholar, and if this is an emerging scholar, I can't wait to see what is to come. Thank you so much for the work you've done, and also for your strong shoulders that you use to hold other students who can walk in your path and shine in your light. That's our silver page. Our gold page is Dr. Annie McCullough Chavis. Fayetteville State University. Cape Fear, North Carolina chapter. This is a person since 1998 who's been a part of the organization, has been committed to the organization for that time, has always been like an angel to me. I don't know if I've ever said that to you, but look at the face and the smile. There's something that's so spirit-filled about you. And I remember going a long time ago to the workshop that she has given so many times for us on Black genealogy that opens up the window of vision about the power in our families and what we bring to each other and what we have to stand on and what we need not be ashamed of, but what we should be proud of. As a gold, on the gold page, it's because she recently retired. And you can read for yourself all of the accolades that she's been given, the books and the periodicals that she's written. But it was very important and brought me great pride to be able to have the opportunity to recognize your work, to recognize your passion, to recognize your importance to the organization, and to be able to introduce you to the body and to the family as someone who we hold in high esteem.
To God be the glory. I stand here as a first-generational educator, a first-generational student, and to stand before this great family to accept this award is just monumental. I first thank God for allowing me for 30 years to teach social work education to students at my university, Fayetteville State University in North Carolina. And secondly, I want to thank this organization and our president, Ms. Tony Oliver, because without you recognizing me, and you are my peers, you are my sisters, you are my brothers. So this award means much more to me than all those other accolades that I have received. And to my sister friend, I could not stand up here without thanking you for always supporting me and encouraging me. And we've been sister friends since childhood. And you know that's Dr. Carlton and to 3 of my junior colleagues at Fayetteville State University, I've had the honor to mentor them, Dr. Johnson, Dr. Corbin, and Dr. Kennedy. Thank you for being here for me to receive this award. And to my former colleague, Dr. Amanifu Harvey, thank you for introducing me to the Academy. And to my family that's not here in physical location, but in spirit, they are here, and I thank them also. And again, I'm getting very emotional, so please bear with me. To my NBA family, NABSW family, thank you for 30 years or more of being here. And I started coming to the conference in 1993. I've missed one. So that's how important this organization is to me. Because I am because we are. We are because I am. Thank you very much.
You have had the pleasure of seeing and hearing the names of some heavy hitters in social work education. When you Google Black social work pioneers, you'll see Dr. Iris Carlton Nade. When you Google genealogy, Black genealogy, you will see Dr. Shavers. The heavy hitters are in the building. You want to take some time to sit at the feet of the heavy hitters. Now around here, the heavy hitters have to play first, second, and third base. So I'm going to ask our Silver Award recipient to come forward and to introduce our speaker.
Hotel family.
Hotel.
The African-Centered Academy. It'll change your life. Get you some. That and NABSW. Yes, African-Centered Academy. Absolutely. I get the honor to introduce my friend. This is what I signed on for. This is what I thought I was going to be doing. I was so busy doing that and working on something else that I had no idea that even I was going to be honored today. So that was so funny when the email first came. But I'm here to talk about my friend. So let me tell you about how we became friends as I get ready to introduce this bad brother from the south side of Chicago. And our Atlanta connection. I was out in the community doing some work, right, putting in work, and someone came to our attention. One of our members of NABSW came to our attention, and she needed some assistance. She was in Atlanta. We were in Atlanta together, and there was a concern regarding some police brutality. Senator Vincent Ford, if y'all don't know him, you need to find out him. He's a true king and a true warrior in the community.
Running for mayor.
Yes, and he's running for mayor of Atlanta. I said, I need some help for my sister. And we need to find someone who can address this police brutality case. This woman had been pushed down, stopped over by Atlantic Station, stopped by the police. They were trying to get at a young black boy who was in her custody that day. They were out, not custody, but they were all in the car together. They stopped the car. They were trying to get at him, so they're saying he didn't have on his seatbelt. When she went to ask questions, she was roughed up, thrown to the ground, basically stepped on, bruised up, all across her face, taken throughout the night. They never would really book her. They just kept moving her from place to place to place to place. She calls me and says, well, I don't know what to do. But then they tell me, go over there and see always told me to do. He said, go over there and see my friends at Davis and Bowles. Davis and Bowles. Okay. Go over there and see Mawuli Davis. I had never met this man. He said, come in and have a seat. His name is on the big marquee. His name is on the this, that, and the other. He says, come in and have a seat. Tell me what happened. Bring your friend. And we sat for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. And we talked about that case. So, that case went from us having to talk about it to, in the meantime, there was another young man who got shot in the back. We had to go out to Union City to address that case. In between, he says, bring your friend with me. We held press conferences and we did everything trying to make sure this woman is right. Our friend, social worker, was protected. We are over here dealing with all of this in between time, and she is concerned because she not only needs medical attention, she doesn't have any money to pay for an attorney. So this man I have come to see, whose name is up on the marquee, whose name is on the door, who's on the law form, whose name is on the stationery, is still saying, come back and see me and let's sit down and get the particulars of this case. No one has asked us for a dime, a penny, a nickel. He just keeps saying, what do we need to do? He says, meet me and let's get ready to take this to court. We got to get these charges dropped off of her. By the way, I didn't mention that she's 69 years old at the time of this incident. Okay. So he's just like, meet me down at the courthouse and let's go and address this issue. We got to get these charges dropped off of her, because even though they didn't charge her that evening, they subsequently tried to go back and charge her because she addressed the thing about a case. So, having said all of that, this man is now, he and I end up becoming friends. We end up talking about these different things. I'm telling you about someone who I was like, he has to come and speak to this group. He has to come and see what we do. He's putting in work over there, I'm putting in work over here, and I subsequently started learning that he knows all the different people that I know. We run in the same circles. Then we find out we from the south side of Chicago. Hey, then we find out we from Atlanta. And the whole entire time, having said all of that, we realized that this is what our journey is supposed to look like. I wanted to make sure that we had a warrior king who could talk about some of the issues and help us find our way. Let me introduce to you, for the first time, Attorney Mawuli Mel Davis.
Remember this, against all that destruction, some yet remained among us, unforgetful of origins, dreaming secret dreams, seeing secret visions, hearing secret voices of our purpose. As Dr. Dozier said, it's good to be home. It really, really feels good to be home. It feels so good to be with family. Welcoming, loving, encouraging, African, Black, New African, melanated, my people. It's good to be with my people. And it's, even if it's just for a moment, just for this moment, where we don't have to openly fight in this space all that destruction. In a space that we can dream our dreams
and not be bombarded with the negativity of the nightmare of being a Negro in America. A space that the secret voices we hear are more than a whisper. Those secret voices which are not muffled by the madness of white supremacy rhetoric, repeated over and over again in sometimes subtle but sometimes severe ways. This space, because there are other spaces, y'all. Spaces where we may work. Spaces where we may teach. Spaces where we may have to operate in. And in those spaces, sometimes the only way that we can be safe is to be but a fraction of ourselves. We can't be our whole selves in certain spaces. We can't be our complete African selves in certain spaces. Because we, as Bernard Delaney said, we remain a nation within a nation. And so some of us are behind enemy lines. But when we come into this space, this is liberated space. It's important. I know outside when you came in, and I know my brother Cliff Morgan is here from Chicago, and I know when I sent him a text, I said, come to the Woodrow Wilson room. This isn't the Woodrow Wilson room anymore. When we walked out, it may reappear, but right now, it's not up here. Y'all understand? Because, you know, Woodrow Wilson was talking about the birth of the nation being like history written with light. That's how he described the birth of the nation when he showed it. So Woodrow Wilson was a stone cold racist, white supremacist. So we know that this space is not his space. This space is the space of our ancestor who was honored here today. This is our liberated space. So we can dream these dreams of being whole again, of being sovereign, of being self-determining, of being self-governing. We can dream those dreams in this space. We can project those visions in this space. We can do that. And that, you all, was my introduction, so I better say hotel. I'm just getting started. Free the land.
Free the land.
Power to the people.
Power to the people.
It is really, truly an honor to be here in Vatican City, in the DMV, to be here for your 49 years of struggle. Something to be said about that. So it's a true honor for me to be here. And then to be invited by my sister. This is a scholar activist. In the best tradition, right? Sometimes we think scholar and activist are two separate things, but we don't have time for that. The song goes, we gotta be able to do it at the same damn time. We have to be a scholar and an activist at the same time. We don't have time for you to just be off in academia somewhere while our people are suffering. And at the same time, you don't have time for you to be running the street without studying. Y'all understand, young people? Students, right? That's why it's important that you're here in this space. So that these founders, young people, if you don't come talk to one of these founders, shame on you. You gotta ask them, what made you do this? What prompted you? What kept you going? What brings you here after all of these years? Because I want some of that. Some of that long distance running. Because we're long distance people. The baton has been passed from hand to hand. Henry Allen Garnett, Bernard Delaney. Y'all understand? Marcus Garvey, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. That's the tradition that we're talking about. We're not talking about other traditions. We need our cultural privacy. There are spaces, y'all. There are spaces. I know there are spaces that we have to go into, and they are integrated, assimilated, and all kind of other stuff. But there are times that family have to be able to get together with family and only family, and that's okay. The reality is that is their space all the time. Only occasionally do we get to come in the side door, creep in the back door to see what's really going on behind the scenes. I've got to bring you all greetings from my law partners in our law firm, the Davis Bozeman Law Firm in Atlanta, who have co-labored with me for over a decade, fighting for our people. When I say fighting for our people get mistreated in so many different ways. And so, while we're in this liberated space, they're still standing what we call on the wall, watching and guarding and being prepared to defend the basic humanity of black folk in Georgia. That's it. In what I know everybody thinks is the black Mecca, but it is a dangerous place for black folk, particularly when you have brainwashed Negroes running the plantation. And so I know it looks good on the outside, but I have to tell you that when I arrived in Atlanta to start law school while I was still in the Navy, and I'll tell y'all about that. But when I arrived in Atlanta, there were a couple of brothers who were just fighting the power. One of them is in this room, and I want to make sure that you all know that Baba Alvin Dollar. Y'all put your hand up in your purple suit. Look. Baba Alvin Dollar, Baba MD Tate, those were brothers that when we came to Atlanta, they were on the front line fighting, and they continue to fight. And so there's this marriage between social workers and the people. We're inextricably connected. Y'all can't run from us. I need you. After this, if y'all don't treat me right, I'm going to need some counseling. For real. I'm going to have someone help me now, all right? Because we are a people that have been injured. And we continue to be injured by this system of white supremacy. And those are some of the things that we have to deal with. I want to tell you before I move on to making a little bit more of a connection as to why y'all are my people and my family. To tell you that I wish I could stay here into tomorrow and on until the conference finishes, because this morning I had a chance to go into several of the workshops. I got a chance to go into the multi-generational workshop. I mean, what a dialogue. These are kind of intergenerational conversations that we have to have. Then I got a chance to go into the African Gender Collective, talking about building a manhood groups. These are powerful. First of all, do y'all know that what y'all are doing here is special? See, I have to tell my son sometimes, right? You know, he just starts to take it for granted. I'm like, boy, you are in a special house. In a very special house. Your mama is a revolutionary. Your daddy is a revolutionary. And we love you. And he doesn't always see it. So I just want y'all to understand that I've spoken in other black professional organizations. And they are not as African as this. And y'all should be clapping your hands and stomping your feet for being black, unapologetically black. That's special. we don't dress up like this. Just, I'm glad I was able to get out of my uniform. That suit and that bow tie, that's a uniform. When I have to go and do battle on behalf of our people. So y'all wear uniforms. But when we can be our African selves, it's when we're at our best. We're not imitating anyone. And that's what students, you have to understand. That's what you bring to this work that's unique. That's why we don't need you to be a copycat, trying to copy somebody else's theoretical principles about black folk. How can they tell us how to be the best us that we can be? It has to come out of our Africanness. It has to come out of our origins. It has to come from who we are. All right. I'm keeping time too, because I know it's supposed to end at 3 o'clock. I know y'all looking at y'all watches. I go to the museum and what have you. And y'all make sure y'all go down there and shop at the marketplace too, okay? They have some awesome stuff. I already got mine, so I'm cool. Jimmy King, a couple books. But when I said, you all are my people, it's like, you ever been to a family reunion and you go up and you talking to a cousin and they nodding their head and looking at you and nodding their head and looking at you, and then they say, who would you say your people were? And you had a whole conversation. And so then you have to tell them who your people are. So I gotta tell you who my people are. So that you can understand that y'all my people, that we are family, right? So my mama, one of 7, grew up in the projects on the south side of Chicago, graduated at 16. She was brilliant. Went to college, Chicago's Teachers College. But her public aid worker said that once you turn 18, you can't go to school full time, you gotta help support your family. So it took her 10 years to get a 4-year degree. And I know that this poor, skinny little black girl with them thick little glasses that was so smart, if she were born in a different era, would have had a different set of opportunities. But she held no bitterness. She swallowed that and spoon-fed it to me. And came and picked me up and took me through the streets of Chicago, Cliff, to keep me from getting got by them streets. I'm not gonna give my baby to them streets. Right? So when I graduated as the first black valedictorian of the predominantly white school that I attended, and then I got my commission to the Naval Academy. And then I graduated from the Naval Academy. And then when I went to law school at night, while I worked and took care of my family, then I got my law degree. And then my first job was at one of them big law firms. And it was in the Bank of America building, the tallest building in Atlanta. I was on the 54th floor. You could look out from my window and you could see Stone Mountain on a clear day. And my mother came up there and she looked out over and tears started running down her eyes. And she was like, my baby, baby. Y'all got mamas and grandmamas and aunties and big mamas like my mama, right? Y'all see we people? Some of y'all are absolutely the prey. The prey. You are what they couldn't be. You're in spaces they could never go. And then when they see you, when you walk in the room, you bring them with you. When you come back with something and they see something, they were already there. So you know my people. And you know the power of my people. But then our story is complex now as African people in this yet-to-be United States. Complex. So you know my brother, Cliff. You know my brother. My brother, brilliant, smart, scored 99th percentile on the entrance exam to his high school, just absolutely intelligent. But the streets kept calling. And his self-esteem, his hair was too kinky, his nose was too broad, his features were too African, and the people that were around were too critical of him being a smart African boy in that time and space. Black was no longer beautiful, and it broke his spirit. And so he self-medicated. Marijuana, alcohol, crack. So 2 years ago, he died in a house in Jeffrey Manor that my mother bought just for him so that he would not die like my cousin, frozen to death in Chicago with you. So you know my people. You've counseled my people. You've loved on my people. And they loved you back. So when I say it's good to be with family, it's good to be with my people, it's from that space of us having these shared experiences. Everybody in here got one. That the streets got them, that didn't get to see this. As Sister said, I wish y'all could stand up here and see this. It give you hope. Just seeing this. Because this was not supposed to happen. If it were left up to them, we wouldn't even be speaking to each other. We wouldn't be on the planet Earth if it were left to them. Look at all the efforts, and I could walk through it, I don't have time, all the efforts to attempt to destroy not only our minds, our spirits, but our actual bodies and beings. That's what mass incarceration is about. That's what police brutality is about. It's about the dehumanization of African people over and over again. This is uninterrupted warfare on us. Uninterrupted. Be clear about that. Police brutality didn't just start, it just started getting recorded. That's it. I just didn't have the tape to show them. To say, look, we're suing y'all behind and you're not getting out of it. It has been our word against theirs. And still the tape doesn't always, it's like your lying eyes. Now he moved. When you hit him the third time, that made him move. So let's talk about our responsibility as Black professionals in this moment in our people's history. Can we do that just for a minute? Because we're talking about unmasking, right? Politics and policies. And so what is our responsibility as Black professionals? And then I'm going to get out the way. First, I would humbly submit that our kazi, our work, is with our young people. So now you go, hold on to your chair now, because I'm getting ready to come down somebody's lane, and you may not like it, but here I come anyway, because I get to go home. My ticket's paid for, y'all can't keep me here, okay? I've heard people say that our young people are our best hope. I've heard them say that. But truthfully, our young people are our only hope. We have to, hear me, we have to unequivocally, without question, embrace our young people as our only hope. That if we fail them, it's over for us. It is life or death. Y'all understand? Yeah. I told you about my brother. My mother never gave up on him. That's her child. She never stopped praying for him, never stopped hoping, never stopped believing, never stopped trying to provide for him. And that's how we have to be with our children. And you'll hear people, they'll say, I don't know what's going to happen with our young people. What do you mean you don't know what's going to happen to our young people? Whatever's going to happen to them is going to be because of what we do. Yeah. We hear people talk about they're a lost generation. If they lost, then we lost them. We don't blame the child. It's our responsibility to go find them. So this is our absolute, we just can't run from this, right? Tupac said it a different way. I'm reaching some of y'all hip hop heads. Y'all go ahead. I know I got New York in the house, right? I know we got some West Coast. You know, y'all throwing it up over there. Y'all watch them now. But Pac, in what I call his African womanist anthem, which was Keep Your Head Up, that was an African womanist anthem. He says, say there ain't no hope for the youth, and the truth is it ain't no hope for the future. So if you say there ain't no hope for the youth, then you really say there ain't no hope for the future. So Pac said it that way. You can look at Baba Asa Hilliard, how he said it. Baba J. Carruthers, how he said it. Chelsea McIntyre, how she said it.
Come on now. Come on.
It's been said a lot of different ways, but we cannot, for 1 minute, give up on our young people. Because here's part of the issue. I gotta move. Part of the issue is that we don't recognize what our young people have already done. We don't recognize what they've done, because if we did, we'd be able to see the potential of what they could possibly do. Example, quick. February 1, 1960, 4 teenage black boys changed the trajectory of history. 4 teenage black boys. Remember, the narrative is about what black boys do and not do. 4 black boys changed the way the movement moved. It led to the starting of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. Come on now. That all over the South, all of these historically black colleges and universities, all over the South, young people started sitting in. This is all before white folk got involved. These were black young people, college, educated, that said enough is enough. We'll stand against white supremacy. We'll sit. We'll do whatever. Our youth did that. Our young people did that. Don't rob them of their victories. There it is, A&T, Greensboro, Woolworths, February 1, 1960. Go to the statue and pay homage. On our way up here for the first inauguration, I had to take my children through North Carolina, and I had to stop. I said, if not for these 4, we wouldn't be going to D.C. Put it in context, y'all. Barack Obama and all of the other folk that appear doesn't drop out of the sky. It's because of great sacrifice. I'm going to take you back a little bit further really quick. Y'all understand that as they were removing us from Africa, as they were capturing us, stealing us away from our mamas and our daddies, that the majority of the folk they were stealing away were between the ages of 10 and 25. But here's they don't leave them as victims. 150 revolts on board ships. Before they got to the land, they was fighting and struggling and overcoming and revolting against white supremacy on the boat. Remember Little George, where they snatch up the ship, turn it around, sail it back to Africa in 9 days. Don't snatch these young people's victory. Those were young people who did that. Ferguson. Folks say all the time, they say, look, what came out first? It's just a bunch of protests. You better look closer. Your enemy will never tell you of your victories. Yeah. Never, yeah. Never. There'll continue to be people who never even set foot in Ferguson. We took a group of lawyers because of the National Conference of black lawyers asked us, bring some lawyers. So we took lawyers from Atlanta to Ferguson, and what I saw were young people. Bob, I saw young people. I saw sisters in leggings and bamboo earrings and brothers with tattoos on their face, and they just would not go indoors. They refused to stop struggling and fighting, and because of that, other young people from colleges started coming in, and so young people changed that dynamic. There was a judge there, had been there for a decade, and did all kind of craziness to our people, had to resign as a result of those young people. There was a 20-year-old who was put on the Ferguson Commission as a result of those young people struggling in the street. There have been 40 different law changes in the state of Missouri as a result of those young people. Look at the Ferguson report. Look at the Ferguson report. The Ferguson report is produced because of those young people. If we just acknowledge what young people are already doing, then we would know, oh man, I see what y'all can do. Let me back you even more. My son took a picture. We brought him a camera, very expensive camera. I told my wife, dude, does it have to be this expensive? First camera, he took a picture. Seemed like a simple picture, Doc. But it was a good looking picture. So you know, I went and said, go take some more. Keep taking. Take video. When we see the potential in our young people, we're not brainwashed by the media about what they can be, we will invest more in them. We gotta see it. We gotta tell that story. I'm gonna tell you about Atlanta. I'm gonna move on. We're gonna get out of here. Atlanta. In Atlanta, the young people, 2 high school students, started on Twitter and on Snapchat this March in July. They started it. Not me, not the NAACP, not the SCLC, none of the major churches. These 2 little teenage sisters started it. 15,000 people came out. When those 15,000 people came out, they started thinking about, well, let's do this again tomorrow. So some more folk came out. It wasn't 15,000, but it was enough. Then the next day, then the next day. So 5 days in a row, young people are marching throughout Atlanta. The mayor gets on TV. I ain't gonna talk about it too bad. He's a black, he's of our complexion. I just struggle, because we can, that's why, I gotta take a little sidebar for that. That's why it's important to keep your feet in here. Because you'll mess around and lose your consciousness. Right? You graduated from Howard University, so you gotta kind of you gotta stay here. I don't care how high you get. You can be a college president, but you still keep coming back here because these are the roots. So this is your anchor. So you can't get moved too far. Because the world, man, folks will start telling you how great you are, start awarding you with honorary degrees and giving you monies and chairs and all kinds of funds, and you'll mess around and forget that we here. We won't see you out in San Diego next year. I'm done with that black stuff, man. I graduated. But as the African Executive Collective told me this morning, as I learned from them, is that you don't never graduate, you keep evolving and growing. That is the African way. You just keep being. Brother said he's 73 years old and he's still growing. It's all life, this lifelong learning. So, they were in the street. The mayor comes on TV and says, man, this has got to stop because we're going to run out of money paying the police overtime. This has got to stop. And so it's going and going and going. And then it really got tricky because they went from downtown to Buckhead. If you know anything about Atlanta, they done went to Buckhead. Downtown is still in transition, but Buckhead is Buckhead. You understand? And so when they go up to Buckhead, not only do they go up there, they go to the governor's mansion. These fools are marching the governors now. You got to love our young people. They just marching. I'm watching it on TV because I told them I will represent y'all because that's what we do. They march on to the governors, and so the mayor gets out of his bed. I wonder what that phone call was like from the governor. You better get these. And he came on out, and they made a critical error. See, Emil Cabral tells us that we tell no lies, claim no easy victories.
Oh, Cabral
so
now.
We gotta tell the truth. We gotta tell the truth about our struggle. Because it's not all roses. When we talk about, Africa and African history, we have to put it in context. We're not doing it just, to puff our chest. We're doing it so that it helps inform us. That's Sankofa. To look back. Look back, how did we get into the situation, as Baba J. Carruthers says, the mess that we find ourselves in? How did we get here? Right? So we got to look at that critically and not just ceremonially. And so they made a critical mistake, and the mistake was this. The city was not completely on their knees. They have to surrender before you decide to meet. And then you tell them where the meeting will be. He invited them down to City Hall. Come meet with me in City Hall 4 days later. So all the steam was taken out of it. And you'll remember that was when Andrew Young, Ambassador Andrew Young, called them unlovable little brats. And Kasim Reed said that Martin Luther King would never take over no highways. What was the Selma? What were they marching on? Lord have mercy. I said, you got an undergraduate and a JD, and you don't remember what happened and stuff? We reenact it every year. We're not walking in the grass or swimming in the river. It's in the highway. John Lewis, y'all see it? Lord have mercy. So, the only point that I'm making is that these young people had pushed them to the brink, and we were near victory. They were near victory. It was a tactical mistake. There were collaborators, because they always have collaborators. They always have been. So don't judge our race on our collaborators. You judge other races on theirs. Every race has collaborators. Every race has traitors. That's how it works. Folks that want to get personally benefited at the expense of the masses. That's how it goes. But it's cool. Second thing that we have to do, and I'm going to wrap this up, is that we have to, now that we know and we're clear about the potential of our young people, we have to engage in authentic relationships. That's what I was hearing in that multi-generational workshop I was in. I heard this conversation about authentic relationships. Don't just pick me out because I know how to use Twitter, right? Just come on and do my social media for me. No, be in an authentic relationship with me. A real relationship. Don't just come, to be, talk to me because you think you can help. I can help you with some scholarship money to stay in school. Be an authentic relationship both ways. And so when we're in an authentic relationship, here's what it looks like. We have to offer ourselves to our young people. Us. We have to offer ourselves food, home, your skills. The way we do it is that if a young person says we're going to protest, we say we will represent you for free or find another lawyer that will. We will make sure that you're represented. What's happening with our young people as they organize, they're being traumatized. And so there's space for social workers and counselors to come and help offer up the service. Just go to the meeting. Don't direct nothing. Let them do what they're going to do and just say, I'm just here. If somebody feels like they need to talk, I'm here. I'm trained to do this. So offer ourselves up. Last thing, and I'm out the way, is that once we're in authentic relationship, then we can do what all of us want to do with our young people. And that's what? Teach. All of us want to teach our young people. It's something in us that we want to keep passing it on. And so once you're in an authentic relationship, then our young people will give you permission to even correct them. Because they trust you. You're in this relationship for the right reasons. And then the question is, what do you teach them? 3 things really quick. First, you teach them about who we are. We got to start there. It's called a Wahine Mesu, right? It's a healing. In Kemetic culture, the Wahine Mesu is for us to rebirth, right? And I believe that we are in a rebirth period. That I went through one when I came into the African-centered education movement in 1988, 89, 90. That was a rebirth. And I believe that the Black Lives Matter movement and the raising of the consciousness and the lifting up of Assata Shakur and the lifting up of our nationalist traditions is a Wahine Mesu, it's a rebirth. And so we got to be at the tip of the spear with the educational material. And that's why the African-centered Academy is so critical. That's why the African Jegna Collective is so critical. That's why this organization is so critical, because we have to provide the information to educate them about who they are. Second piece of what we have to teach them is we have to teach them about white supremacy. We have to, don't run away from it. Neely Fuller said that if you don't understand white supremacy, everything else you think you know will only confuse you. I'll rewind that later because I'm running out of time, but you gotta get that. So we have to break that piece down. And then the last thing is that we have always had a movement. We have always had a movement. We still have a movement. They are stepping into a movement. That's what this is, a movement. It retreats, it contracts, but it's still a movement. Forever, we have struggled despite the odds. As I close, I'll tell you a story so that we can understand our resistance and our resilience as a people. We never stopped fighting. I remember I was a decent basketball player, not as good as my father, but I was a decent. My father played at Tennessee State, and then he played with the Harlem Globetrotters. So I wanted to be that good, I wasn't. But I played basketball, and we were on a winning streak, and we were just winning. And then we were in a game, and it was very, very late in the game, and we were losing. And it really looked like we were going to lose. I mean, it was late in the game. A couple of minutes left, we down probably 8 points. And the student body began to chant something that I'll never forget. And I think, when I think of African people, when I think of what we are about, I think of that chant. And they began to chant, "We refuse to lose." It's a powerful statement because what it acknowledges is that we're behind right now. And I think if you look at any indicator as it relates to black wealth, black incarceration, everything, we're behind right now. But we refuse to lose. Let me tell you how it went. It was a little clap. I'm about to test your Africanness, and then I'm going to get out the way. But it was a little clap, and it went like this. It would say, it was like one of those little house claps. I know y'all love go-go, but it was a little house clap. It was like, "We refuse to lose. We refuse to lose. We refuse to lose. We refuse to lose." Thank y'all. Power to the people. Power to the people.
We refuse to lose. We are so blessed. Brothers and sisters, where can you go to get this? I'm looking at one of my sisters who said, "I have to come back. This is not my service area, but I came to NABSW 3 years ago, and regardless of what it is that I have on my schedule, I come back because I have to drink from the well." Thank you for giving us so much to drink. And I want to remind you of some of the things that
said, one of the things that he said, this is a liberated space, but this is also a safe space. So we're able to have this discussion here, and we don't have it in other places, and that's another reason that we come together, so that we can talk about those things and acknowledge the things that are not necessarily acknowledged outside, but it doesn't matter, because we know what's right, and we know the truth, and we know how to go to the well. So I thank you for giving us another opportunity to be here. I just have to say one thing. I didn't know if you were going to mention it, but when in Atlanta, I don't know how many of you have seen that the Highway 85 has a big hole in it because there was a fire a couple of weeks ago, and they identified a black homeless man who happened to have a white male friend and a female, seemed like Asian friend who were also, she's white too? Okay. They were also under the bridge. But for some reason they took him in as the culprit for the fire to say that he lit the fire and he was smoking crack. And they've been testifying against him on the news. So some of us were talking about, isn't it interesting that the material that caught fire had been put there by a corporation 5 years ago. So it's a fire hazard. But the corporation, nobody's talking about any culpability on their part. And so we were just commiserating about how when a black person is found, he is demonized and he's strung up and hung to show that we found the culprit and we're going to put him away for life. So the next day, and we're talking about this the first day we came here, the next day the sister sends me a link to say, here's a link about the conversation we had last night. And I open it up and I read it. The title says that the homeless man now is being represented by a high-powered law firm. So I keep reading it and I'm like, what white people came up to save this black man? And as I go down, I see Bozeman and Davis. So we thank you. You have given us a perspective from your speech, but your work is what is important. Thank you for representing us. And I want to, at this time, to give you our highest award. Our Pyramid Award. It says from me to you and Cindy, but it's from all of us. The circle is forever, and it always returns to itself. Thank you for being a part of it.
Is in the building. As Sister Brenda comes with our highlights, it's always a pleasure to be amongst royalty, If my daddy was here, he said, I'd rather see you than Santa Claus, right? But when you were raised by a king, it's real easy to recognize one. And but we heard from the king today, and we really want to thank you for blessing our night. And I hope you students paid attention, because what he said is the power is in your hands. The people are ready to listen. Trust me, I'm not on this microphone because I want to be. I'm on this microphone because somebody said I could be. You're confident enough. You're strong enough. You're capable enough. And so are you. So when you want to take this mic, I'm ready to give it up.
Hotel family.
Hotel.
Ooh, I know I'm full. Not just from the food either. All right, we have a few announcements. First, we're going to start out with, we say our young people, but some of us old fogies have a clue sometimes. Not me, but some of us do. Everything that you're posting, the picture of your food, the clothes, every place you go. We need you to post it at hashtag NABSWDMV. We need to represent. For, again, this evening, join the NABSW African Jagna Collective from 6:30 to 9 o'clock in Baltimore 1 for filming of Live Young Blood and a community gathering and conversation covering violence, death, and other issues impacting African men and boys. And we heard our speaker reference them several times today, so get your knowledge. Again, I will remind you to complete your evaluations. We are paperless this year. If you have any problems, please go downstairs. There are laptops available to you in the exhibit area or in the marketplace. And while we're talking about the marketplace, please make sure that we participate in cooperative economics and give, well, you're going to get some too. So let's turn this money over in our community for a change. Absolutely. Just want to remind you that this evening also, OSA is having a Black royalty party, and the admission is $5. No? We're at the National Pastime Sports Bar and Grill. Excuse me, young people, are we there tonight? At Pastime, see? See, I know it said white party in the brochure, but if you look at the journal, it says Black royalty party. Okay, so also want to remind all the persons who are participating in Harambe that we have rehearsal tomorrow at 12 o'clock in the Woodrow Wilson Ballroom A. All of the executive committee, we need to have you present so that that particular closing ceremony can run smoothly. The VIP holding room for Harambe tomorrow is Baltimore 4, and we are asking that everyone is present who has to be.
And I look forward to seeing you, and thank you for your donation. And I look forward to seeing you at Harambe, and definitely I'll be seeing you in San Diego. Thank you.
What if you could just stand with your heart or your posture? Some of you will be the benediction before you gather again. Some of you will transition from this place to the place of reward. This is also a sacred space. Whatever generation you're from, go knowing that you all are one. Every child, every woman, every man, every elder. We give honor to the founders. Only you and God knows what inspires your hearts to develop the courage. But sometimes the simplest trying on a hat in the store was impossible. And yet you persisted. As a sacred place, there is a sacred one who will guide you. Whether you call that one Elohim, Adonai, Yahweh, Allah, God, I pray you would take the peace, P-I-E-C-E, of that God who will give you the peace, P-E-A-C-E, of the Prince of Peace. Go and realize there's much work to be done. And you are the eyes and hands and feet and minds of God. Never let your schooling interfere with your education. Go in peace. Here's it taught us. Grant us, O God, a lifelong affinity for truth.